Hi, welcome to Vegetables, day 22. And as you can see, did nothing with my hair today. Of course I washed it, but I didn't style it and I didn't feel like it. But it's been an okay day today. For breakfast I had oatmeal. This time instead of peaches and spices, I put sweet cherries and cocoa powder. It's become one of my favorites. And then with that I had 2 pieces of whole wheat toast with almond butter on it. For lunch I had Tombstone pizza, sausage, and then I had a snack around about 3:30 of an oats and honey Nature Valley granola bar. So not the greatest, but not bad. I mean, the only bad part was lunch. But then I waited again. I didn't plan like I said I was going to. Waited way too long to think about dinner and ended up being starving. Well, the week before I started my daily vlog, I had ordered Chili's and had a bad experience. So they sent me $10 in gift certificates. So I'm like, let's have Chili's. So it was really good. I chose the 2 for $25. And what I had was the 6-ounce sirloin with steamed broccoli. And they put garlic butter in it. And they put it on, and I shouldn't have. I should have just ate the steamed broccoli. But then the loaded mashed potatoes, which was not bad, you know. I mean, well, at least I had broccoli. At least I got a vegetable in there. But as the appetizer, we chose the Texas fries and added chili. So I had about a third of that. I gave the rest to my husband. And then dessert. It was so good. I chose the chocolate chip cookie. And I just thought it was going to be a chocolate chip cookie in a little pan. No, it was a chocolate chip cookie with chocolate syrup and ice cream. I mean, I only had a fourth of it. So, and you know, like, I don't know, maybe 3 tablespoons of ice cream, and maybe a teaspoon of syrup. I mean, there wasn't, that thing of ice cream was only like this big around, so it was only like 1 scoop of ice cream for the whole cookie. But still, a lot of fat, a lot of calories, and a lot of sugar that I really don't need. But it is what I had, and you know, I'm being as truthful as I can. As you can see, I'm still very flushed from the injection in my shoulder. I did get the test results from my EMG, and the only thing they told me was that I have neuropathy. So the pain center referred me back to the neurologist that took the EMG for treatment of the neuropathy. I'm like, I could have told you I had neuropathy. Why did I have to see the neurologist for the EMG, go back to the pain center to get the results to be sent back to the EMG? You know, just some of the inefficiencies of the medical field and how one doctor doesn't want to step on another doctor's toes. So I see him on Monday. I don't know what he'll do. I'm hoping he'll do some kind of blood test, because I know that I know he can do the glucose, because, large number one reason for neuropathy is going to be diabetes. So I know he'll want to test for that. And I don't have that. My blood gets monitored for that every 3 months. And, while it might raise once or twice, I would say once or twice, because twice would be 50% of the time that I get it drawn. But, if I go 1 month and it's raised, maybe a little higher than it should, because I just eaten before the appointment, the next time I go, it'll be fine. It'll be within normal range. So I don't have diabetes. Excuse me. It can be caused by injury. And I know that I definitely suffered from it in 2014. Excuse me, 2013. Prior to that. But I don't remember how long I've had this problem, and tried to get help for it, but didn't press the subject because there's so many other things going on that were more of a bother, like my stomach, my chest, my cancer, my thyroid. You can only do so much at a time. There was one point that I had 4 doctor's appointments in one day. Plus, I went to work for 2 hours. Crazy. But, so we'll find out more hopefully on Monday, or at least know what direction he wants to go. Sorry, I think I'm going to sneeze. So, the other thing I wanted to talk about was I've noticed that I have gotten a few views on the video that mentions interstitial cystitis and how I treat it. And I really don't know if it was very helpful. So I want to just reiterate, some of the things that cause it, and also what it is. Interstitial cystitis is painful bladder syndrome. And with me, the way I got it diagnosed is I had a urologist under anesthesia expand my bladder. And when he expanded my bladder, he could find little ulcers around the outside of the bladder. Just little tiny ulcers. And so that's what he diagnosed it. But he didn't really have much in the way of treating it. Other than there is a drug called Elmeron that has been developed to treat it. So he said, well, let you go home, check out their website. If it's something you want to try, let me know and I'll prescribe it to you. But what more importantly, he said that research has found that the best way to control interstitial cystitis is through diet. And on Elmeron's website, it gives a list of foods that are okay and foods to avoid. And, keeping that in the back of my mind, I started eliminating a lot of those foods. And this was in 2009, shortly after I got diagnosed with the leukemia. But I kept it in mind, and over the years, I have pretty much avoided all of the foods that are on the don't eat list. But the two things that I for myself have found that really cause a problem are citric acid and cinnamon. Well, I love apples and apple flavored stuff. But anytime you have apple desserts or apple side dishes, they always have cinnamon. So I like something apple. I'm like, no, thank you. You know, or cinnamon rolls. I love cinnamon rolls. And I would avoid them and I'd be doing just fine. And then I'm like, oh, 2 little cinnamon rolls won't bother me. So I'd have 2 cinnamon rolls, and sure enough, you know, within 24 hours, I'm in pain. And then I was not even thinking about the fact that citric acid is in just about everything. So, you know, I knew that had to avoid lemons, lemonade, oranges, orange juice, grapefruit juice, lime juice. But it didn't dawn on me that everything, I'm telling you, everything that's fruit flavor has citric acid in it as a preservative. That includes tomatoes. It includes soda. It includes canned fruit flavored candies. It includes fruit flavored desserts. It includes canned fruit sometimes. Thankfully, the federal government has required that if citric acid is added to a food, that it has to be listed. Apparently, excuse me, falling out of my chair. Apparently, it's, you know, a common problem to quite a few people. But for that reason, you know, I avoid a lot of foods. And the reason I found out and realized that citric acid was in everything is because one Easter I bought a bowl of jelly beans. Didn't even think about it. Put the bowl on the counter for everybody to enjoy. And, you know, as we walk by, we pop a jelly bean in our mouths. Did that for 2 days, and I'm like, man, I am really hurt. I'm in a lot of pain. So I look at the ingredients on the jelly bean bag, and sure enough, citric acid. So I started reading labels. And that's when I found out it is in everything. Had another flare up too, where I was having smoothies. There's a big green smoothie that includes like kale, spinach, strawberries, mangoes, banana, and you just shove as much greens as you can in the, you put the, you know, the fruits in first, and then a little bit of water, and then you shove the blender just jam-packed full of greens. Had those for 2 or 3 days, and I started having a flare-up. Well, come to find out, mangoes are very acidic. So now I know I can't have mangoes. I'm to the point now where about the only fruits I can have are bananas and berries. And some apples. As long as they're sweet apples, we're fine. But Granny Smith, nope. Can't do Granny Smith. And then the final thing that totally surprised me, and I think I mentioned this in my other video on interstitial cystitis, is, I've been avoiding all of those types of foods. Hadn't had any cinnamon, hadn't had anything fruit flavored. And I started having a really big flare. And I got back to thinking, what did I have? There had to have been something. I mean, this flare was so bad, it put me in bed. Now, thankfully, between the time that the urologist I was seeing offered the Elmeron, I had come across another doctor who had prescribed Pyridium, or the generic for it. And thankfully, the Pyridium is something that I don't have to take all the time. It's something I only take when I have a flare, and one prescription lasts me longer than it's good for, because I've become really good at reading labels. You have to read labels. But this last time, I kept thinking, what is causing me to have this flare? And the only thing I could think of was that I had started a new medication. And I'm like, surely there wouldn't be citric acid in the medicine. It wasn't fruit flavored. So like, even like here, they're fruit flavored. And inactive ingredients, thankfully, they don't have citric acid. They have adipic acid, which for some reason that doesn't bother me. But, something as simple as Tums that are fruit flavored could have the citric acid in it. Let me come back here on the shelf. But like fruit flavored cough syrup potentially could have citric acid in it. But I thought, it was a pill. It wasn't fruit flavored. Surely it didn't have citric acid. So, get online, do research, look at the inactive ingredients for that medication. It's called atenolol. It's for a heartbeat regulator. Looked at the ingredients, and sure enough, citric acid. I immediately stopped taking it, took my Pyridium, and the other thing I do when that happens is I flush my body with a ton of water. Because the more water that I drink, of course, the more water you drink, the more you urinate. And so that helps flush the bladder out. And so thankfully, within 48 hours of stopping that medicine and taking the Pyridium around the clock, it cleared up. And I haven't had a flare since. But it just didn't dawn on me to look at medications. So now, every time I pick up a medication bottle or get a new medication, the first thing I do is go look at the inactive ingredients or ask the pharmacist. I even have citric acid listed on my allergies, so that if at some point I'm not able to speak for myself, there's documentation and record that I need to avoid citric acid. It just blew my mind. But that's why I wanted to expand on it, because I know that it's very, very, very painful. And I know that it's, predominant in women. And I know there are many, many women out there suffering and they're looking for help. So that's why I wanted to expand on what I have found that has helped and that has pretty much eliminated flare-ups from my life. Maybe 2 or 3 per year, and that's it. And I've also, learned to recognize that, oh, I feel this funny pain in my back. I have learned that that means I'm about to have a flare. So I'll take the Peridium immediately. And usually 1 dose will do it. Sometimes I have to take 2. But and then I think back, well, what did I have to eat? And it's usually my weakness of the occasional soda. Okay, so that's the video for today. I hope and pray that anyone out there who is suffering from painful bladder syndrome heeds my words and finds relief. Give me the thumbs up, leave a comment. Let me know if you find maybe you have something else that causes a flare for you. Let me know. I'm, curious. And perhaps maybe if you have something else going on, maybe I've experienced it because I have an extensive medical background, not education, experience of having to deal with all this stuff. And, I'm always willing to share my knowledge. I did forget to mention, I got batteries for the scale. I weighed myself tonight. I was 244.6. I weighed myself this morning. I was 240.3. So, I'm holding my own. But go ahead and hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you know when I upload a video. And I hope you have a good rest of your day. And I will see you again tomorrow.